I didn't leave because I was jealous. I didn't walk away because I lost. I walked away because I knew something no one else did. While he was celebrating his second wedding, I was holding the divorce papers he didn't remember signing. And when the truth finally came out, it destroyed everything he thought he had won. I still remember the night everything changed. Not because it was loud. Not because there was a fight. But because it was quiet in the most dangerous way. I walked into that restaurant smiling. I was tired, but calm. I remember thinking, it's just dinner. Nothing special. The lights were warm. People were laughing. Plates clinked. Music hummed softly in the background. Then I saw them. Daniel and Maya. Sitting together. Too close. At first, my brain refused to understand what my eyes were seeing. I told myself, relax. You're imagining things. But then Daniel looked up. Our eyes met. And he didn't look surprised. He looked proud. That's when my stomach dropped. Someone at the table leaned in and whispered. They got married last week. Just like that. No warning. No pause. No mercy. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I felt every head in the room slowly turn toward me. No one said anything out loud. They didn't have to. I could feel the judgment settle in the air. So this is why he left. He couldn't handle it. He must be jealous. I saw it in their eyes. They had already decided who I was. The weak one. The bitter one. The man who lost. Daniel smiled and put his hand over Maya's. She avoided my eyes. That hurt more than I expected. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to say something. I wanted to scream. You don't know the truth. But I didn't. I just sat there. Silent. Still. My hands under the table were shaking. Inside my chest, something cracked, not loudly, not suddenly, but deep. Like something breaking that could never be fixed again. That was the moment I realized something terrifying. Sometimes, people don't need facts to judge you. They just need a story that makes sense to them. And that night, they chose the wrong one. After that night, the rumors didn't walk. They ran. I didn't hear them at first. I felt them. People stopped meeting my eyes. Conversations ended when I walked into rooms. Phones stayed quiet longer than usual. Then the words reached me. Daniel was talking. He told people I walked away bitter. That I couldn't handle seeing him happy again. That I was jealous of what he had rebuilt. He said I wanted attention. That when I didn't get it, I disappeared. I became the story he needed. Friends I had known for years stopped calling. When I ran into them, they smiled, but it was tight, careful. Like they were afraid I might explode. I heard things like, "He's not as strong as we thought. He couldn't move on." Each sentence hit harder than the last. The worst part wasn't the lies. It was how easy they were to believe. One afternoon, Mark finally asked me. We were standing outside, pretending everything was normal. He said, "Why don't you just explain yourself?" I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was impossible. How do you explain a truth that could destroy a marriage? How do you tell people the man they trust signed his own ending while drunk? I looked at Mark and said nothing. He waited. Then nodded, like my silence confirmed his doubts. That moment hurt more than any rumor. Because I realized something. Silence doesn't just protect secrets. It also invites judgment. So I stayed quiet. Day after day. Lie after lie. And slowly, that silence took everything from me. My reputation. My friendships. My place in their world. And the hardest part? I paid that price alone. Years earlier, Daniel was drunk. Not the laughing kind of drunk. The broken kind. His words were heavy. His steps were crooked. His eyes looked empty, like something inside him had already given up. He had just fought with Maya. Not a small fight. The kind that burns bridges. I got the call close to midnight. "Can you come get me?" he slurred. "I can't. I can't be here anymore." I found him outside a bar, leaning against a wall like it was the only thing holding him up. I didn't ask questions. I just helped him into the car. He stared out the window the whole drive, mumbling about betrayal, about how tired he was of trying. I drove him to a cheap hotel near the highway. The kind of place that doesn't ask names. Inside the room, the air smelled like old carpet and regret. And that's when I saw the man waiting. A lawyer. Daniel squinted at him and laughed. "What's this?" he said. "A party?" The lawyer slid a folder across the table. I looked at it. My stomach tightened. Divorce papers. I stepped forward and grabbed Daniel's arm. "Don't," I said. "Read it tomorrow. You're not okay." He pulled away and smirked. "Tomorrow," he said. "There's no tomorrow for this." His hand shook as he picked up the pen. I watched the ink touch the paper. Once. Twice. His signature, messy and rushed. Then he leaned back, closed his eyes, and passed out on the bed. Just like that. It was done. The lawyer left without a word. The room went silent. The next morning, Daniel woke up with a headache and no memory. "What happened last night?" he asked. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at the papers. At his name. At the date. He laughed it off when I told him he signed something. "You're messing with me," he said. But I wasn't. I kept a copy. Not because I wanted power. Not because I wanted revenge. But because I knew something dangerous had just been created. A truth that could destroy lives. A truth he had already forgotten. And I was the only one left holding it. Daniel and Maya looked perfect online. Too perfect. Every morning, their photos appeared on my screen like reminders I didn't ask for. Wedding pictures. White dress. Wide smiles. Captions about second chances and true love. People flooded the comments. "So happy for you. Love always wins. Meant to be." Each word felt like salt on an open wound. I'd scroll, then stop. Staring at a life built on something they didn't fully understand. At night, sleep refused to come. My phone would light up at 2 a.m., but it was never a message, just my own thoughts looping again and again. What if I had spoken up? What if I hadn't stayed quiet? Then there was Lena. She stopped calling. When we crossed paths, her eyes stayed careful, distant. One night, she finally said it. "You didn't have to disappear like that," she told me. "You didn't have to be jealous." That word hit harder than she knew. I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to pull out the truth and lay it on the table. But I couldn't. Not without hurting people who didn't even know they were standing on a lie. So I nodded. I let her believe it. I let everyone believe it. Holding the truth felt like drowning slowly. Not all at once. Just enough every day to remind me I was sinking. And still, I didn't speak. Because some truths don't just destroy lies. They destroy lives. Daniel cornered me one night. Not in public. Not where people could hear. It was outside a quiet parking lot, lights buzzing overhead, the air thick with anger. He stepped in front of me and blocked my way. "So this is it," he said. "You just disappear and play the victim?" I didn't answer. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You wanted my life," he said. "My wife. My happiness." That sentence hit me harder than I expected. I felt my hands start to shake. Not because I was scared. Because I was tired. Tired of swallowing words. Tired of carrying the weight alone. I looked at him and saw a stranger. Not the man I once trusted. Not the friend who used to sit beside me at 3 a.m., talking about dreams. Just someone angry and blind. I opened my mouth. The truth was right there. One sentence away. I imagined saying it. "You signed the papers. You ended it yourself." I imagined his face falling apart. I imagined the silence. For a moment, revenge felt close enough to touch. Then something inside me stopped. I realized something simple and terrifying. Revenge would feel good for 5 minutes. Maybe less. But peace? Peace could last forever. I closed my mouth. Daniel stared at me, waiting. I stepped around him instead. "Believe whatever you want," I said quietly. He scoffed as I walked away. But with every step, my chest felt lighter. That was the moment I understood something important. I wasn't losing anymore. I was choosing myself. And that choice changed everything. After that night, I stopped watching him. I started watching myself. I realized something simple. If I kept staring at his life, I'd never build my own. So I changed my focus. I poured my energy into work. I took a new job that scared me, but challenged me. I woke up earlier. I ate better. I stopped explaining myself to people who already made up their minds. I built boundaries where I used to build excuses. Slowly, I felt stronger. Calmer. And while I was rebuilding, things started breaking for him. Not all at once. Not loudly. Quietly. I heard it through whispers. A call from a mutual friend. A strange message at midnight. "Hey, is Daniel actually married?" Legal confusion surfaced first. Paperwork didn't match. Dates didn't line up. Officials asked questions no one could answer. Daniel laughed it off at the beginning. He always did. But laughter doesn't fix documents. Then Maya started changing. Her smiles disappeared. Her posts became careful. Her captions lost their joy. One night, I heard she asked him directly, "Why does this feel wrong?" He didn't have an answer. I didn't interfere. I didn't warn. I didn't expose. I just kept living. That was the hardest part, doing nothing. Because doing nothing took strength. Some people think karma needs a push. It doesn't. It needs time. While Daniel was running in circles, trying to hold everything together, I was sleeping better than I had in years. While he was explaining himself, I was finally silent for the right reasons. That's when I understood the truth. Karma doesn't rush. It waits until you think you're safe. And then it knocks. Not to destroy you, but to remind you what you ignored. The call came late. The kind of late where your phone feels heavier in your hand. I almost didn't answer. But something told me I should. "Hello?" I said. There was silence on the other end at first. Then I heard Daniel breathe. Not speak. Breathe. It was uneven. Shallow. Like someone trying not to panic. "They found something," he said. His voice didn't sound like the man I knew. It sounded small. "What do you mean?" I asked. There was a pause. Long enough for me to already know the answer. "The papers," he whispered. "The divorce papers." My chest tightened, but my face stayed calm. "They have my signature," he continued. "And the date." He laughed suddenly. A broken, desperate laugh. "I don't remember signing anything," he said. "I swear I don't." I closed my eyes. The memory came back instantly. The hotel room. The shaking hand. The pen touching paper. He showed up at my place an hour later. He looked pale. Sweat on his forehead. His eyes darted around like the walls were closing in. He dropped into the chair across from me. "You knew," he said. "Didn't you?" I didn't answer right away. I watched him fall apart. "I didn't mean to do it," he said quickly. "I was drunk. I was angry. I didn't even read it." His voice cracked. "Say something," he begged. So I did. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I didn't smile. I just said, quietly, "You signed them." That was it. No explanation. No drama. Just the truth. The room went silent. Daniel stared at the floor. His hands started to shake. That silence. It wasn't empty. It was heavy. He finally understood. The truth didn't need my anger. It didn't need my revenge. It had waited. And now it was standing right in front of him. Maya left. Not with a fight. Not with screams. She left with silence. Her bags were gone. Her photos disappeared. Her side of the bed stayed untouched. Daniel called me the same night. Over and over. When I finally answered, his voice broke. "She's gone," he said. She didn't even look back. He showed up at my door an hour later. His clothes were wrinkled. His eyes were red. The confidence he once wore like armor was gone. "I need you," he said. "Please." He paced the room like a trapped animal. "You have to help me," he said. "Just explain it. Tell her what really happened. Tell everyone." I looked at him. This was the man who once smiled while people judged me. This was the man who let a lie grow because it was easier than facing himself. "I can't save you," I said calmly. He froze. "What?" he whispered. "I didn't break this," I continued. "And I'm not fixing it." He dropped into the chair and buried his face in his hands. "I didn't know," he said. "I swear I didn't know." "I know," I replied. And for the first time, that truth didn't comfort him. He left without another word. Days later, Lena reached out. We met quietly. No accusations. No tension. She looked tired. I was wrong, she said softly. I believed what made sense to me, not what was true. I nodded. I wasn't angry anymore. Some truths don't need shouting. They don't need crowds. They don't need revenge. They just need time. And time had finally spoken. I didn't celebrate his fall. There was no moment where I smiled and thought, this is what you deserve. No victory music. No sense of revenge. Just silence. And relief. For a long time, I had imagined this moment differently. I thought when the truth finally came out, I would feel powerful. I didn't. I felt empty in a good way. Like putting down a heavy bag after carrying it for years and realizing my shoulders didn't hurt anymore. For the first time, I wasn't holding anyone else's secrets. That truth surprised me. I always thought I was protecting Daniel. Protecting Maya. Protecting Lena. Protecting everyone from pain. But the secret had been protecting itself. It had owned my thoughts. My sleep. My silence. And now, it was gone. I didn't need to explain anything anymore. People didn't ask questions. They didn't need answers. The truth had a way of settling without noise. I walked through my days lighter. No more rehearsing conversations in my head. No more imagining how I'd defend myself if someone accused me again. If people believed me now, fine. If they didn't, also fine. I wasn't begging to be understood anymore. That was new. One afternoon, Mark ran into me outside a cafe. He looked uncomfortable. Like someone standing too close to a memory they didn't want to touch. I didn't know, he said quietly. I nodded. I know. He waited, maybe expecting anger. I gave him nothing. Not coldness. Not forgiveness. Just calm. I should have asked more questions, he said. Maybe, I replied. But you didn't. He looked down, then back up. I'm sorry. It wasn't dramatic. But it was enough. Later that week, I saw Daniel one last time. Not face to face. Just his reflection in a glass door as he walked past me on the street. He didn't see me. He looked smaller. Not physically. Emotionally. Like someone who had finally met himself and didn't like what he found. I felt something then. Not pity. Not anger. Closure. That chapter of my life was over. I didn't need to turn the page loudly. I just closed the book. That night, I sat alone in my apartment. No music. No phone. Just quiet. I thought about the version of me who sat in that restaurant months ago, feeling something crack inside his chest. I wanted to tell him something. I wanted to say, this pain won't last forever. I wanted to say, silence doesn't mean weakness. I wanted to say, you don't need to prove anything. But that version of me needed to learn it the hard way. We all do. The next morning, I woke up early. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to. Sunlight filled the room. I made coffee and stood by the window, watching the city wake up. For the first time in a long time, my future didn't feel heavy. It felt open. I realized something important then. Walking away doesn't mean you lost. Sometimes, walking away means you refused to carry something that was never yours to begin with. Daniel lost control of his story because he never faced it. I gained control of mine because I finally let it go. I didn't need his regret. I didn't need his apology. I didn't need his downfall. I needed peace. And I had it. So I walked away. No anger in my steps. No bitterness in my heart. Just honesty. Just clarity. Just me. Clean. When the truth settled, it didn't explode. It didn't arrive with shouting or dramatic confessions. It arrived quietly. Like a fog lifting. People started acting different around me. Some apologized. Others avoided me completely. Both reactions told me the same thing. They finally understood. At first, it felt strange. For so long, I had been invisible in the wrong way. Now, I was visible in a way I never asked for. People who once crossed the street to avoid awkward conversations suddenly slowed down when they saw me. Some smiled. Some looked away. One afternoon, I ran into an old friend at the grocery store. She froze when she saw me. Then she walked over, nervous hands twisting together. "I owe you an apology," she said. I waited. "I believed things I shouldn't have," she continued. "I didn't even ask you." I nodded. Not because I accepted the apology, but because I understood it. "It's okay," I said. And it was. Not because what she did was right, but because I no longer needed anything from her. That was the moment I realized something had shifted. I wasn't waiting for explanations anymore. I wasn't hungry for justice. I wasn't replaying the past, hoping it would end differently. I had moved on quietly, without even noticing. Some people never apologized. They avoided me instead. Changed sidewalks. Pretended not to see me. Acted busy with their phones. At first, that hurt. Then I realized something else. Avoidance is its own confession. It means they know. And they don't know how to face it. I didn't chase them. I didn't corner anyone and demand acknowledgement. I didn't say, "See? I told you so." Because silence had finally spoken for me. For the first time, my quiet wasn't weakness. It was authority. People listened to it more than they ever listened to my words. One evening, Mark called me. His voice was hesitant. "Can we talk?" he asked. We met at the same place where he once asked why I didn't explain myself. He sat across from me, uncomfortable. "I should have trusted you," he said. I looked at him and waited. "I didn't," he continued. "And I feel stupid for that." I thought about the months I spent carrying judgment that wasn't mine. Then I said something that surprised both of us. "I don't blame you." He looked up. "Why not?" he asked. "Because people choose the story that hurts them the least," I replied. That conversation ended quietly. No hugs. No dramatic forgiveness. Just honesty. And it felt right. Later that week, I saw Lena again. Not to reopen old wounds. Just to acknowledge what had passed. We sat on a bench in silence for a while. Then she said, "You handled it better than anyone I know." I shrugged. "I didn't handle it," I said. "I survived it." She smiled sadly. "I wish I had listened earlier." "So do I," I replied. But there was no bitterness in my voice. That chapter was closed. Daniel never reached out again. And honestly, I didn't need him to. I heard things through others. He kept his head down now. Avoided familiar places. Avoided familiar faces. Not because people hated him, but because he couldn't escape himself. And that wasn't my burden anymore. I realized something important during that time. Silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. Sometimes it means you're done explaining. For so long, I thought power came from being understood. I was wrong. Power comes from knowing who you are, even when others don't. I woke up one morning and noticed something small but important. My chest felt light. Not numb. Not empty. Light. I wasn't replaying conversations anymore. I wasn't waiting for apologies. I wasn't hoping someone would finally say the right thing. I had stopped needing permission to move forward. That's when silence stopped being lonely. It became strong. It protected my peace. It filtered out people who only listened when things were loud. I started choosing my words carefully again. Not because I was afraid, but because I respected myself. I spoke when it mattered. I stayed quiet when it didn't. And for the first time, both felt powerful. Walking through life felt different now. Not defensive. Not tense. Just steady. I realized that silence isn't empty. It's full of boundaries. And boundaries are where strength lives. That's when I understood the truth. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need closure from others. I didn't even need the full story to be told. My silence had already said everything. And everyone heard it. Daniel apologized. Not the way people do when they want something back. Not the kind of apology that tries to fix the past. This one came quietly. Unexpected. I didn't hear from him for weeks after everything fell apart. No messages. No calls. No excuses. Just silence. And honestly, I had gotten used to it. I had learned how to live without waiting for his words. That's why the knock on my door surprised me. It was late afternoon. The kind of hour where the day feels tired. I opened the door and saw him standing there. He looked older. Not in years, but in weight. His shoulders were slumped. His eyes didn't search the room like before. They stayed low. "I won't take much of your time," he said. I stepped aside. Not to invite him back into my life. Just to let the moment happen. He stood in the middle of the room, hands clasped together like he didn't know where to put them. "I've been thinking," he said. I waited. He took a breath. "About everything," he continued. "About what I did. What I let people believe." His voice cracked for the first time. "I blamed you," he said. "Because it was easier than blaming myself." That sentence sat heavy in the air. I didn't interrupt. I didn't correct him. I let him finish. "I told myself you were jealous," he said. "That you wanted my life. That you couldn't handle losing." He looked up at me then. "And I needed that story," he admitted. "Because if I didn't believe it, I would have had to face what I really did." I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Not defensive. Just grounded. "I didn't come to fix us," he said quickly. "I know that's gone." That surprised me. "I came because I'm alone with the truth now," he said. "And it's loud." I nodded slowly. For years, that truth had been loud only for me. Now it was his turn to hear it. "I hurt you," he said. "I let you carry something I should have faced myself." He swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." The word hung there. I didn't rush to respond. I checked inside myself first. Was I angry? No. Was I relieved? A little. But mostly. I felt distant. Like this apology had arrived after I had already moved on. I didn't forgive you out loud, I tell people now. And that's true. But not because I was holding on to anger. I just didn't need to say it. Forgiveness wasn't something he needed from me anymore. It was something he needed to learn how to give himself. I looked at him and spoke carefully. I didn't need you to come here, I said. I stopped needing explanations a long time ago. He nodded. I know, he said. That's why this is hard. We stood there quietly. No dramatic moment. No hug. No tears. Just two people standing on opposite sides of the same truth. I hope you find peace, he said finally. I hope you do too, I replied. And I meant it. Not because I wanted to reconnect, but because I didn't want to carry bitterness forward. He walked toward the door, then paused. I don't expect anything from you, he said. I just wanted you to know I finally understand. I watched him leave. I closed the door. And I didn't feel empty. I felt complete. That surprised me. I thought his apology might reopen something. It didn't. It closed the last door quietly. Later that night, I sat alone and thought about how strange healing is. You think it comes when the other person says the right words. But sometimes it comes before that. Sometimes it comes when you stop waiting. I realized something important then. I didn't need to forgive him out loud because I had already forgiven myself. For staying silent. For walking away. For choosing peace when revenge was easier. Distance had done what anger never could. It had protected me. Distance gave me space to see clearly. To breathe. To grow into someone who no longer needed validation from the past. I thought about the man I used to be. The one who replayed conversations. The one who stayed awake wondering if he should speak. That man was gone. Not because Daniel apologized. But because I stopped carrying what wasn't mine. The truth had taught me something powerful. You don't owe closure to everyone. You don't owe forgiveness on demand. Sometimes, the healthiest response is distance. Quiet. Final. That night, I slept deeply. No dreams. No noise. Just rest. And when I woke up, I didn't think about Daniel. Not once. I thought about the day ahead. About what I wanted to build. About who I wanted to be. That's how I knew. The apology I never waited for didn't change me. Because I had already changed. Distance was enough. And it always had been. Today, my life is quiet. Not empty. Not lonely. Quiet in a way that feels earned. I wake up most mornings without my heart racing. Without my mind replaying old scenes. Without that tight feeling in my chest that used to greet me before I even opened my eyes. There was a time when silence scared me. Back then, silence meant judgment. It meant unanswered questions. It meant being misunderstood. Now, silence feels like space. Room to breathe. Room to think. Room to live. I don't wake up angry anymore. I don't check my phone hoping, or fearing, to see his name. I don't wonder what people think of me. And that's how I know I've changed. For a long time, I thought healing would feel loud. I imagined it would come with big moments. Clear victories. Public understanding. I was wrong. Healing came quietly. It came the morning I realized I didn't care who believed what. It came the first day I went hours, then days, without thinking about the past. It came when I started planning my future without checking it against old pain. No bitterness. That doesn't mean I forgot what happened. It means I stopped letting it live rent-free in my head. No revenge. Not because I'm better than that, but because revenge would have tied me to a version of myself I didn't want to keep. No regret. I made the choices I needed to make with the information and strength I had at the time. And that matters. Sometimes, I walk past places that remind me of who I used to be. The restaurant where everything broke. The street where Daniel once accused me. The bench where Lena admitted she was wrong. The memories still exist. But they don't control me. They're just memories now. Not wounds. I think about Daniel less than people might expect. Not because I hate him, but because he no longer fits into my life. I don't wish him harm. I don't wish him success either. I simply wish him distance. Distance was the lesson that saved me. It taught me that not every ending needs closure spoken out loud. Not every truth needs to be shouted. Not every wrong needs to be punished for you to move forward. I didn't win because he lost. That's an important truth. If his life had stayed perfect, my healing still would have mattered. If the papers had never surfaced, my growth still would have counted. Because my peace was never supposed to depend on his downfall. I won because I survived something that could have made me bitter. I survived being misunderstood. I survived carrying a truth alone. I survived the urge to explain myself to people who never asked kindly. And instead of letting it harden me, I let it change me. There's strength in that. Real strength. The kind that doesn't need an audience. The kind that doesn't announce itself. The kind that shows up in small ways. Like choosing calm over chaos. Like walking away instead of proving a point. Like letting go without demanding an apology. I've learned something important about life. People will believe the version of you that matches their comfort. And you can't control that. What you can control is whether you keep trying to convince them. I stopped trying. And that's when I felt free. Today, I move through the world lighter. I laugh easier. I trust slower, but deeper. I speak less, but mean more. I don't rush into explanations. I don't rush into relationships. I don't rush into judgments. I take my time now. Because I know how much damage rushing can do. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that version of me who stayed quiet while the room judged him. I wish I could sit beside him and say, "You're not weak. You're just early." The truth doesn't need speed, it needs patience. But maybe he didn't need comfort. Maybe he needed to walk through it to become who I am now. I've made peace with that. My life isn't perfect. It's real. And that's better. I have goals now that don't involve proving anyone wrong. I build things for myself. I choose people who choose clarity. I protect my peace like it matters, because it does. And if there's one thing I know for sure now, it's this. Sometimes, the strongest move is not exposing the truth. Not demanding justice. Not explaining yourself. Sometimes, the strongest move is walking away with the truth untouched. Letting it stand on its own. Letting time do what noise never could. That's the kind of strength that lasts. And that's the life I live now. Quiet. Clean. Unapologetically forward. If this story found you at the right time, subscribe for more real stories about betrayal, karma, and growth. Some truths don't make noise. They wait.